Alright, we're against Druid. We're going first. I definitely don't want to keep any of these cards, I don't think. Hellfire is not very strong against Druid. Sludge Belcher is okay. I might consider keeping it if I was going second. But probably not, even if I was going second. What you really want against Druid is like Imp Gang Boss and Twilight Drake. And maybe a Darkbomb for the Shredder. So we get a Darkbomb. Ironbeak Owl and Mortal Coil probably won't do much for us, but they're not bad cards to have. They're pretty neutral. Black Knight is a good card against Druid. Not as good as it used to be because a lot of the Druid of the Claws you will see played in taunt form. Almost in almost any situation because of double combo. But still a good card. I'm not sure if I would keep it in the opening hand. I think I might keep it in the opening hand if I was going second. And this is an easy turn 2 tap. We definitely don't, we're not going to play out a Tempo Owl because that plays right into his hero power, and Darkbomb accomplishes next to nothing. So we Wild Growth, that's bad for us. We do have a way to deal with the Shredder next turn. We could draw Mistress of Pain, which makes for an interesting decision. Do we tap or do we Mistress? Because against Druid, Mistress doesn't do very much, but it does start the train of healing. But then again, giving up a tap is really painful. I think I am going to drop the Mistress just so we can peck at him every turn and heal ourselves back up every turn. And those little margins do count for a lot. So he doesn't have a Shredder because he played a Shade on turn 3. And we're just going to Twilight Drake because that's one of the strongest turn 4 plays you can have. By the way, I edited it out, but this guy did rope all the way on turn 1. He probably should have coined Wild Growth there, but I don't know if he disconnected or what. So we are at somewhat of an unlucky advantage there. So he decides to kill the Mistress, and this makes me happy about my decision to play the Mistress instead of tapping, because it ate a Wrath, which isn't that big of a deal since it cycled for him, but it did bring the Shade out of stealth so that our Drake can kill it. Or our Implosion can kill it. So just to talk about the options we had that turn, we could run the Drake in. That leaves us with not very much left to do. We could have Hellfire to kill both Shades, and the Drake still would have survived. Or we could Implosion. And I decided to go with Implosion. Because it's really strong if he doesn't have a swipe. Turns out he did have the swipe, but it looks pretty bad, like taking out that many minions, but it's not really, because those minions were just like a bonus. And he innervates out a Wrath. So he basically used an innervate to play a Wild Growth, which, that may mean maybe he has a Rag in his hand. Or maybe he has like a bunch of combo pieces that he wants to get to as quick as possible. Anyway, that turn, basically I Hellfire just to kill the Shade because Shades are really dangerous and Hellfire is not very good against Druid. He, Big Game Hunters, unfortunately we do not have any of our big threat removals, like Big Game Hunter and 2 Siphon Souls. So, if we don't want to leave the Big Game Hunter up, we're going to have to expend a lot of cards here. But it's okay, because he's down to 3 cards. So the way to clear it is Hellfire, Darkbomb, Mortal Coil, and Mortal Coil does cycle. So it was essentially a 2-for-1. Luckily we stayed up at 17, we didn't go down to 14. Okay, hero power, so I would say he doesn't have Cenarius. And that's it. So what does he have? I'm thinking probably a keeper and some combo pieces. Maybe a swipe. In any case, we're just going to play Belcher and tap because that's about the only reasonable option we have there. And he used an Innervate, and he hasn't played Thaurissan yet, so there's nothing crazy that can happen to kill us here. So he did have a keeper, and he silences the Belcher, which sort of tells me he wants to push damage. Normally you would save your keeper for a Sylvanas or a Drake, but he did not. So it seems like he wants to put damage, but then again he threw down the zombie Chow. So if we kill the Chow, that puts us at 18, and then with combo he'll have 14 plus 4, which is 18. So I think he has combo. But we have plenty of healing and we also have taunts, so I feel okay to tap here. We're of course going to kill the Chow. And then we have to either play a heal or a taunt. And I like to play the Belcher just because it's more board presence than a 3/3. Second keeper. So our Twilight Drake's going to be really strong here if we can survive long enough to play it safely. And he goes face instead of making the value trade with the Sludge Belcher. So yet more confirmation that I think he has combo. But we can still play around it. We can kill a keeper, so that will leave him with 18 damage with the combo. And we can heal up with the anti-Healbot. And we can actually, so we can Mortal Coil to finish off a keeper. And that would leave us with enough mana to Twilight Drake and Healbot. So I think that's a pretty good line of play. We'll see what we get from the Mortal Coil. Siphon Soul is not something we want to play. Alright, so the only thing this is a little weak against is Mind Control tech, but this doesn't seem like a Mind Control tech type of Druid. Seems like a fast Druid, although I have seen them run Mind Control tech sometimes. And this is where you want to be with Druid. We have a bunch of minions that are at above 1 health, so Swipe's not that effective. They don't have any other AoE other than that. So they really don't have a way to retake the board once you take it in a strong way. So I guess we count our damage here just to be sure. That's 10, 13, plus 4 is 17. And I don't see any more damage we can do. So we're definitely going to kill the Keeper, I think. And we can tap Thaurissan. Or we can be super duper safe and anti-Healbot in case he has Innervate. Actually, yeah, we need to recount our damage because we drew Faceless. So that's another 4 damage, and we were only like 3 damage off. So yes, that is lethal. And that is why you always tap first. And there we go. So I beat Druid. Looked pretty dominating, but I feel that we overperformed in that game because the opponent took turn 1 off, and his curve wasn't extremely strong, and I think he kind of played not the best. But there you have it. You can definitely win a Druid matchup.